Alright, first we got this box. And this doesn't actually contain anime in it, it's from Limited Run Games. But you know, I kind of figure, you know, I might as well open it. Because the other box, well, the other package already got opened. On account of the fact that it contained a One Piece. And so I watched that with my Friday friend. I thought so. So, this is the limited edition version of Blaster Master 03. Which I don't think my brother cares too much for. And maybe that says a lot. Because I guess he said something about being one of the faster runners of Blaster Master 02 on the speed run thing. Anyways, I kind of know that. And I'm curious to see the inside. If I could get my hands on this damn plastic, I could start pulling it back. I got the impression this was supposed to be a final thing. It's definitely looking more like a romance manga than a game about driving around. Oh, that's shinier than the outside. Ah, I see. So, I kind of expect, whoa, set this aside here. It's a certificate of authenticity, edition number 2443 out of 3800. And in here I expect the game and the next metal tank thing. Jesus, I forgot how heavy these are. It's pretty cool. Very classic. I know it's not up to my brother's taste, but I think I like what they did with it from a more casual gamer perspective. So, yeah. Plastic is being hard to get to. Yeah, let's. This is the main content. Because here's the Switch game itself. And there's definitely more in here, so lots and lots of goodies in this limited run thing. And you know what? Oh, yes, there's a soundtrack. So I should probably leave this open so that I can get the Switch game in. I feel like that's not everything. But it might be. It's really hard to say because I think there is a thing still in here. You can sort of see it there. There we go. So this came out like that. This is an NES sleeve for Switch games. That's actually kind of cool. My guess is this is, yeah, I can see it's a bigger version of the main cover there. I don't think I'm going to try and unfold it all. It seems awfully damn big. So instead, what I'm going to do is... I see. So this was there. This was there. so that then you can slide this in here. This was maybe sideways like that. Yeah. I guess I am putting this slightly more away than planned. Oh, that's not completely closing. Let's look at the other stuff here, because we have, you know, silica gel pack. We have the fake NES cartridge. Because you can kind of see there's no actual cartridge sticking out of it, so it's, you know, just for looks. Eve is showing a little more underboob there than I would have guessed. Oh, the good thing about this is I don't know anything about... Maybe this was there? I don't know. I said, no, I need to leave this all out. But then again, that just closed, so... So I guess y'all get to see the satisfaction of all of this getting put back together. I'll just have to worry about taking it apart again later. Alright. And now comes the actual anime, which, you know, is already out of the package since, you know, well, One Piece, Season 11, Voyage 9. And, you know, the insides, you still have your Blu-ray DVD, Blu-ray DVD. This is all pretty standard for all these One Piece releases. Next up we have Ryoma, which is weird because it's a CGI thing, which, you know, it's a form of animation, and this one is I think it was, this one was definitely made in Japan. It's got Japanese audio, if I remember correctly. So this one was weird, but it's just like, I think I'm getting it. Because I think it technically counts. It's a tennis stadium from above. Very strange, but not unexpected. Oh dear. Next up we have Taisho Otome Fairy Tale. That looks pretty and mysterious. And with a different thing underneath the slipcover. Very nice. Sorry, the plastic's deciding to stick to it, so it's not quite coming off like I wanted it to. This is regions A and B. There's an English dub there. A charming romance set to the Taisho era. Okay. These are a little more straightforward. But it makes sense. An interesting curiosity. And then last but not least we have Amnesia, which I think there's another one called something like this. Amnesia is not exactly an uncommon name, you know. It's certainly a mystery sound. I see a region A only. 12 episodes. There is an English dub. No name, no past. Trapped inside a loop of time. Intriguing. Person. Alright. Here's this week's anime DVD collection update.
I
I don't know how much I can remember. There was, I guess since I last watched, let's see, I watched the last episode of Kicked from the Heroes Party. Or was it the last 2 episodes? It was the last episode, because I kind of mentioned that it was starting to get a little crazy, revealing some story stuff that seemed a little late to reveal. But for the most part, the setup for the very last episode was resolved, I feel, relatively quickly and straightforwardly. And at that point, I think the series kind of reverted back to what it had been before, which is it's really more of a simplistic slice of life without a major story going on. And so it went there. Now, if I remember correctly, oh yeah, I guess they tried to introduce our main character and that girl having awkward first sex, kind of. Not all the way, but kind of just enough of it to show that's what they were doing, I guess. But, yeah. It was tough. Let's see. There was also another episode of a dubbed episode of Ascendance of a Bookworm, and it's definitely, I'm not sure if it's picking up towards the content that makes Ascendance of a Bookworm the greatest, but it's definitely some of the conflict that I think the series needs to make sure we feel is there, because it's an important integral part of it. Integral. Okay. But, I feel like the show isn't necessarily strong from a single episode to single episode basis. So it's really hard to kind of talk about it, because it's definitely an awesome show. Yeah. Was wondering if I felt a little pain there. Really weird. Oh well. Anyways, other anime. So, One Piece Season 11 Voyage 9 came. I'm pretty sure that's the end of the season. Content-wise, it felt like it was. And I just sort of feel like One Piece does all these neat things, but I just feel like it also drags a whole lot. And whether or not what happens here is really neat is hard to say, because like the 2 story arcs I think about blow the understanding of the world wide open, and they really reflect that One Piece tends to have multiple levels of storytelling going on at the same time. And I felt like it feels like one of those maybe or maybe not being developed as well. I suspect it is, but we're still not given the full picture to kind of understand that stuff. So the problem is with the delays in terms of what it did do, what it did. It's definitely wearing a bit on me. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen after this, but at the same time, I don't know, not a lot of energy. But One Piece. The other thing I watched is a brand new Animal. So the story for that is I've been aware of its existence as well as the anime Beastars, but in my brain they are a little mixed up, or at least they were, just because they came out kind of close to the same time as each other. And both of them have had appeal to people that I consider to either be in the furry community or leaning generally in that direction. And I mean that in the best way. I don't think these people have represented some of the worst of the furry community in any way, shape, or form. So, putting aside any memeing about, persecuting them, it's, one of those shows where it's just like, well, I wrote them off not necessarily as being bad, but as what's interesting to them. I don't know if that means it would be interesting to me. And I had so many other high priority stuff to focus on. But what happened recently with Brand New Animal was a combination of 2 things. First of all, one of those people who I consider to be one of the most level-headed people around, talked about how much he liked it. And that was literally minutes after I discovered
Oh wait, that was Brand New Animal was made by Studio Trigger. Now I want to watch it. So, you know, starting it up, I worried if it would feel something that was specifically made for furry people, directed at furry people, targeted at furry people, people with those kind of fetishes and ideas. But I don't think it felt that way. It kind of had some stuff that I think would super resonate strongly with some of those ideas. But if you take a step back and you're like, okay, well, let's see if this is actually doing its own thing, having done this stuff. And it does. You kind of, when you start watching it, you don't feel like, oh, these guys represent furs. Oh, these guys represent furs. So, you know, that's good. It basically means that it's something that probably really does not synergize. It resonates with their preferences, but I still think it does a good job of doing its own thing. And, you know, the only other part of it that made me feel a little maybe that way is the ending. But the ending, it was a little messed up. Not in a bad way. It was still a good series, and it was still an okay to good ending. The real problem with the ending is just that it kind of comes fast. You know, that happens sometimes. Maybe they were planning or hoping to have a 13-episode series, but then they only had the budget and the time for 12 episodes, so they fit the last 2 episodes into one singular final episode. Hard to say. But overall, you know, I kind of felt it really cool. Our main character, as naive as she is, she's fun to watch despite that naivete. Is he supporting? I kind of think of, you know, the other guy as supporting for her, but he's also really important. So he's kind of he's not just support, he's definitely kind of that just behind the main character in importance, but still standing kind of right beside them sort of importance. And everything with him seemed interesting and good. His attitude kind of was intriguing, wanting to see how he dealt with this stuff. And I don't feel like they took the biggest advantage of all that stuff, but when you watch it, you can kind of understand why, because it feels very Trigger. To me, so my understanding is the people who founded Trigger were from a group within Gainax who I think mostly worked on Gurren Lagann. And they split off and they started doing their own thing. And of course, I think one of their biggest well-known things is probably Kill la Kill. Maybe Little Witch Academia is also similar. But, you know, if you go with some of that stuff, you kind of understand Trigger works embracing Hollywood logic to a certain degree, and there's definitely a certain Trigger flavor to it, and they're not doing anything that other people don't do, but it's still one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how biology actually works, even if you try to make things up. And the main weakness of Brand New Animal is, unlike you know, these other works that kind of are in the same mental space, those are just like, fuck making sense, we're gonna be so goddamn awesome, nothing matters. And this show wasn't doing that. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, it was bad. And maybe that would be off-putting to some people, but I kind of felt like, you know, it still just did some really cool, neat stuff. And while I felt like, you know, it did some things that didn't exactly shoot them in the foot, but did kind of stub their toe. And maybe I'm thinking stub the toe because I did stub my toe last week. I think I probably mentioned that on camera. Anyways, you know, it stubs its toe a little bit and stumbles a bit. And, you know, overall, it's okay. And I think the rating kind of represents that. Now, the reason I mentioned Brand New Animal and B-Stars is, I think part of the reason I had started wondering a little bit about it is because I think I ran into a random meme, maybe in a Discord, about This Doesn't Please Lugosi or something like that. And he's a character from B-Stars, but I wasn't quite sure because I'm like, which one is it? I can't tell the two apart. And that's when I Googled the name of the one I knew. I'm like, oh, Studio Trigger. Now, having looked, I see that B-Stars is actually rated higher than Brand New Animal. So, now that I've given one of those a shot, I think I'm leaning towards high prioritizing watching B-Star. And, you know, if I find out that's definitely something that's a little more fetishy and I don't care about the fetish, I'll probably lose interest pretty quickly. I suspect it's not because it's still rated better than Brand New Animal. So it should be interesting to say. But overall, you know, yeah, there was a neat thing. Is there anything else to mention and talk about? Oh yes, of course, Monster Hunter. Specifically, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. I'm progressing at a snail's pace. Now, part of it is, of course, that I am helping other people who are playing through the game. And along those lines, the group of people, you know, they were starting from scratch in Monster Hunter Rise. I discovered they were at a point where they were... they would be able to go into Sunbreak if they wanted to, and the timing just so happened to be with one of their birthdays, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a copy of the game for each of them. Now, they're over the internet, so this was go to GameStop, purchase 3 digital copies, send them photos of the receipt. They all download it at the same time. It's been fun, but, you know, they've caught up to the part where they're now starting to pass me. 2 of the 3 of them are. Well, you know, the third one, you know, there's always somebody who can't put an impossible amount of time in there. And so he's the reasonable one of the 4 of us. I'm the one who put a hell of a lot of time before anybody else even knew the game existed. That's not a phrase, not literally. But then you got the streamer, and she's, you know, rocketing along pretty well. She's actually finished most of the Monster Hunter Rise content, and she's slightly ahead of me in the Master Rank. And the other guy is getting ever so closer to Hunter Rank 100, where he could, you know, unlock the final quests available in Monster Hunter Rise. And he's slightly behind me in Master Rank, or at least he was a couple hours ago. So as of this point, he's probably pulled ahead of me. And that's just the way it is. So I'm Master Rank 3. I still have to do some key quests. I imagine I have to do key quests and then another set of key quests, because that's just what Master Rank has been doing. It's all good. And I've been enjoying myself. It has brought some fresh new stuff now that I've been able to spend time in Sunbreak. So, you know, I've explored the 2 new areas. I still have absolutely no idea what route I want to take on one certain map. The other one I figured out, and y'all probably know exactly what I mean if you've been playing Sunbreak. But, yeah, it's all stuff. Good stuff. Fun stuff. Outside of that, I think that's everything to talk about. Y'all, have a nice week.